Are you ready for a camera that doesn't just change the rules, but completely destroys them? We all live for that holy grail moment in the tech world. It is the release of a piece of gear that shifts the entire industry. It makes everything that came before it feel like a cheap toy. We are standing on the edge of a shift so massive it feels exactly like the day we all transitioned from DSLRs to mirrorless cameras. Put down whatever you are doing right now, because we need to talk about the Nikon Z6 Mark IV. If you thought the Nikon Z8 was the absolute peak of technology, you are dead wrong. The floodgates are officially open and Nikon has stopped playing nice. To understand why this new camera is being called the absolute camera, we have to be brutally honest about the machine it is replacing. The Nikon Z6 Mark III was a fantastic hybrid machine, but it had a few painful compromises. The most glaring issue was the price. It jumped to $2,500, but the resolution stayed exactly the same. In a world where 33 megapixels is becoming the bare minimum for the competition, being stuck at 24 megapixels on a premium camera felt like a slap in the face. It hurt photographers who needed to crop their images. Plus, that partially stacked sensor introduced a slight shadow noise penalty that landscape purists absolutely hated. Add in some thermal limits during long RAW video sessions and a battery-draining viewfinder, and you see the problem. The Z6 III was amazing, but it wasn't perfect. Enter the Nikon Z6 Mark IV. This is where the story gets legendary. Rumors are screaming that this will be the very first mid-range camera body to fully benefit from Nikon's massive acquisition of Red Digital Cinema. We are not just talking about a few new color profiles here. We are looking at a fundamental, ground-up overhaul of the internal processing and color science. Let's look at the headline feature. A brand new 33.3 megapixel fully stacked sensor. This instantly kills the debate between speed and resolution. You finally get the extra breathing room to crop your photos while maintaining those blistering readout speeds. This completely eliminates rolling shutter, which is the ghost that has haunted hybrid shooters for years. But the real absolute nature of this beast is in its brain. Powered by the anticipated Expeed 8 processor, the Z6 IV is expected to debut human intent autofocus. This isn't just standard eye tracking. This is predictive AI. It understands the flow of a scene. It can prioritize a bride's eyes through a crowded, chaotic dance floor or track a bird's exact flight path before it even leaves the branch. For the filmmakers watching, the Z6 IV is going straight for the throat of dedicated cinema cameras. Imagine shooting internal 6K open gate at 60 frames per second and uncropped 4K at 120 frames per second. Because of that red integration, you are getting cinematic skin tones straight out of the camera that requires zero fixing in post-production. To finally end the war between photographers and videographers, Nikon is reportedly testing a new multi-flex hinge. It gives you a fully articulating flip screen for vlogging, but also a rugged 4-axis tilt for low-angle vertical photography. Throw in dual Express Type B slots for the first time in this tire, and this camera literally has zero compromises. But right now, a massive dark cloud of fear is hanging over the camera community. It is called the Z8 paradox. The fear is simple. If Nikon makes the Z6 for this incredibly good, it will completely destroy their own flagship sales. If you can buy a 33 megapixel fully stacked sensor with 6K RAW video and red color science for under $3,000, why would anyone ever buy the much more expensive Nikon Z8? This leads to a terrifying concern about strategic crippling. Will Nikon intentionally limit the buffer size? Will they remove custom buttons or throttle the thermal performance just to protect their more expensive cameras? And then there is the price creep. If the Z6 III hit $2,500, could the Z6 IV launch at a painful $2,999? For the everyday shooter, crossing that $3,000 psychological barrier is a massive risk. Despite these fears, the momentum is completely unstoppable. Nikon has spent the last 3 years transforming from a legacy brand playing catch-up into an absolute pioneer of hybrid technology. The Z6 IV is for the new generation of creators who refuse to be put in a box. It is for the wedding shooter who needs to snap a high-resolution portrait and instantly switch to a cinematic slow-motion video in the blink of an eye. For years, the Z6 line has been just right for everyone, but never the undisputed king of any category. That era is officially over. Nikon looked at the Sony A7 Mark IV and the Canon Z6 Mark III and decided to build an absolute beast that perfectly bridges the gap between an enthusiast and an elite professional. If these rumors hold true, the Nikon Z6 IV will be the very first time a camera brand delivers true uncompromised flagship performance in a body that a working professional can actually afford. Paper specs are one thing, but the actual daily workflow is where the Z6 Mark IV is going to completely annihilate the competition. Let's start with the one thing Nikon has that absolutely nobody else can touch right now: the Z-mount glass. For years, Nikon has been engineering some of the most clinically perfect, razor-sharp lenses on the planet. We are talking about optical masterpieces like the 135mm Plena and their flawless f1.2 to S-line primes. The problem was that a 24-megapixel sensor simply could not resolve the maximum amount of detail those premium lenses were capable of capturing. By finally upgrading the Z6 Mark IV to a 33.3-megapixel fully stacked sensor, Nikon is taking the training wheels off their glass. You are finally going to see the true edge-to-edge microcontrast and three-dimensional pop that the Z-mount was always designed to deliver. Then we have to look at the massive reality of what internal red technology actually means for the solo creator. A lot of people hear red digital cinema and they instantly think of massive Hollywood film sets with 20-person camera crews. But Nikon is taking that exact same multi-million-dollar color science and handing it directly to the one-man YouTube creator, the indie filmmaker, and the weekend wedding shooter. What does that mean for you? It means the end of spending 10 hours color grading your footage. Red's legendary color science is famous for producing the most accurate, flattering human skin tones straight out of the camera. Imagine you are shooting a live event. The sun is harshly beating down, the lighting is a total nightmare, and you accidentally overexpose the bride's white dress or the sky behind your subject. On a normal mid-tier mirrorless camera, that compressed footage is ruined. It is permanently gone. But with Red's legendary 16-bit color recovery baked into the Z6 Mark IV, you literally just drag that clip into your editor, pull down the highlight slider, and the lost detail magically reappears. It is essentially an unfair cheat code for hybrid shooters who do not have the time or budget to rig up heavy external monitors and fragile SSD drives. And let's not forget the low light capabilities. Moving to a 33-megapixel sensor isn't just about cropping. It is the mathematical sweet spot for full-frame light gathering. When you combine those perfectly sized pixels with the Expeed 8 processor's new artificial intelligence noise reduction, the Z6 Mark IV is literally going to see in the dark. We are talking about shooting clean, perfectly usable professional video at ISO 12800 or even 25600 when that AI predictive autofocus locks onto a subject's eye in a pitch-black wedding reception hall. It is not going to let go. It will track them through chaotic crowds, behind pillars, and across the dance floor with terrifying robotic precision. This is exactly why the competition is in serious trouble. Sony has incredible autofocus, but their out-of-the-box colors and complex menus still require heavy tweaking. Canon has fantastic colors, but their closed lens ecosystem forces you to pay a massive premium for native glass. Nikon is walking directly into the middle of this fight, holding the ultimate weapon. You get a high-resolution stack sensor, open third-party lens support from affordable brands like Sigma and Tamron, and true Hollywood cinema video specs. All of this is packed into a body that doesn't require a second mortgage. It isn't just an upgrade. It is an absolute game over. The competition is officially on notice. Nikon isn't just back in the game. They are changing how the entire game is played. In my opinion, this is the most exciting time to be a Nikon shooter. This camera represents the perfect balance of every piece of tech we have ever wanted. It fixes the resolution complaints, it brings in the pro video specs, and it uses AI to make our lives easier. If the price stays reasonable, it is an instant buy. What do you think? Are you ready to upgrade to the absolute camera? Or are you afraid Nikon is going to make it too expensive? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, subscribe, share the video, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on these massive leaks. As always, thanks for watching.